Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Northwest Unitarian Universalist Church, where we're gathering both virtually and in person as one connected community. I'm Pastor Eli, my pronouns are he, him, and I'll be your worship leader this morning. I am honored to be joined by First UU Detroit's Nancy Shattuck, she, her. Nancy introduced herself to Detroit in 2017 as the admin, and then signed a membership book in 2021. So we're very happy to have her as our speaker today. And of course, as always, we have Alex on music, and I think special guests Steve Curtin and Jerry Price, I believe, for some music today. Yay, yeah. If you're a visitor online and would like Northwest to stay in touch with you, please fill out the visitor form appearing in the chat box. And if you're with us in person, you can always fill out that visitor sign-in form in the atrium. Please greet your neighbors with a wave from wherever you are. We have a few announcements to share with you this morning. You can always find more information about Northwest and its events in the weekly newsletter and on our website. Speaking of the website, our worship schedule now has a dedicated page. Yay! But still, next Sunday, as an announcement, March 30th, we will have our joint worship service at UU Farmington. Our next joint worship after that will be in 4 weeks on April 20th in Detroit. So in between there, obviously, we are at our own churches. And I'd like to invite Cheryl Goldberg up to share a message from our membership team.
Which I really didn't want. I did not want. I was afraid to see what you guys were going to put up there. Okay, so I am making a plea on behalf of our membership team for some springtime help, April and May, with coffee hour. There's so many ways that we try to feed each other when we convene. A few of these spiritually through inspirational services, which invite us to reflect or to act. Socially through our listening to and being heard by others when we convene after services. Physically through the food and drink we share at coffee hours and special events and potlucks. And today I'm really asking you to think about how and when you can help to feed our community by signing up to volunteer at a coffee hour. The tasks, when shared, are really not that burdensome, but like laundry, they require attention every week or there's no clean underwear or coffee. When it's a welcome and wonderful thing, obviously, it's a surprise when people pitch in spontaneously, and we really appreciate that, but it's difficult to plan well when people do not sign up. And often that means last minute scrambling. Committee members must miss the service because we're trying to fill in, or they have to miss the visiting, or they have to miss the post-service events. Somebody always has to set up, has to buy the food, has to clean up. And so basically we want you to see coffee hour as a shared responsibility and sometimes help us out. We're asking you to go to the sign-up sheet link in our weekly emailed newsletter. You gotta scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, but it's easy then to just put your name in there to either buy food or set up or clean up and help us fill the gaps that we have in that schedule for the next couple months. We hope, as membership team, not to have to cover every single time. But one of us with experience, if you haven't had experience in the kitchen, on the coffee maker or the dishwasher, will be available to you to assist if needed. Or there are other folks who've been doing it quite a bit of time who know how to work the stuff. So it's a fun thing to do, actually. It gives you an opportunity to be with other people and chit-chat, but it's not such a great thing to do alone. So ask somebody to do it with you if you can. So our committee really sees you when you help and appreciates you and appreciates every single time we hear the words, hey, we've got this. And so I want to thank everyone who does pitch in. And today it's our rummage sale team and a few extra people. Yay, Sally, and yay, rummage sale folks. for feeding us, and it's beautiful today. So we do, as Eli said, have some joint stuff happening in other places, but we are going to need help in April, on the 13th for sure, on the 20th for sure. We have a potluck on the 27th. On April 6th, we have a special coffee hour that membership is helping canvas with at potluck. Our membership team also takes care of that, but also appreciates any other help that people might do. May 4th, we need help. We have a joint meeting on May 11th here, but I think we might have Omar's help. May 18th, we need help. So there's several days where we would really appreciate some filling in. So thank you for your time.
What is that? Everyone wants a revolution, but no one wants to do the dishes? Let's do some dishes. All right, a few more announcements. Our OWL students have finished their 7-month class. Yeah. OWL, also known as Our Whole Lives, is a comprehensive faith-based sex ed program. Congratulations to Jasper Rogerson, Uriah Toko, Mina Livingston, Oliver Kinnan, Jonas Bodson, Connor Hart, and B. Various. Congratulations, kiddos. Also, our high school students are headed to a high school conference in Ann Arbor this weekend. Amelia Kinnan, Michaela Stevenson, and Rose Simas. Sorry if I messed up any of those names. And that's where Eva is with them. Our canvas for 2025-26 church year is ongoing. If you'd like to pledge your financial support to Northwest UU, please fill out our pledge form. The link is on our website, in our newsletter, and conveniently on today's order of service, along with a QR code. There will also be a table at coffee hour after service with more information. Last announcement. Times are tough, but we've been through tough times before. Those identifying as trans and gender expansive are invited to a night of community building and support. Trans Spirits is a space where we'll be building together, but for this night, let's just be together. On March 27th, join me at 7 p.m. at Northwest after soup. So at 6, get some soup. At 7, come have some community in the library. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me in person or at elijahfk@proton.me. Just come see me. It's easier. And just to note, for this space, right now, for now, we're asking that this is an 18-plus space. And while we appreciate our allies and all the work that you do, this is a space for trans and gender expansive individuals of UU Detroit and Northwest UU. This is not a learning or ally-oriented event. After all that, everyone could please take a deep breath as we begin the prelude, and let's enter this time of worship together. Have some words to guide us along in this prelude today from Ever in Our Midst by Karen G. Johnson. Ancestors who spoke with bravest fire, lend us your senses, that we may know another world is on her way, breathed into life with our participation in her creation. Forebears who led the way where there was at first no way, lend us your persistence, your temerity, your assurance that the moral arc of the universe does indeed bend towards justice. Ones who went before us, sacrificing for a future not your own, help us to give of ourselves, that the common stones in our hands today might be cathedrals of compassion today, halls of restorative justice tomorrow, sheltering walls of beloved community the day after. this Sunday morning, the day we gather, let us be thankful and full of praise to be in the company of those who came before, yet are ever in our midst. The flaming chalice is a symbol of our faith. We light it knowing this morning that many other Unitarian Universalist congregations across this land and around the world are doing the same. We light our chalice with words from Northwest UU's mission statement. Please repeat after me. We light this flame, to grow in spirit, knowledge, and action, accept and challenge one another, and to support each other in times of joy and need. Each week, we also offer a land acknowledgement. We honor and pay our respects to the land on which we live and work, which was violently stolen through colonialism, genocide, and forced removal of its traditional stewards. These stewards are the Anishinaabe, the Council of the Three Fires, which include the Ottawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi, also known as Ottawa, Chippewa, and Potawatomi tribes. We also acknowledge the people of African descent who were forcibly removed from their land and separated from their families through kidnapping and enslavement, and pay reverence and respect to them for building this country's infrastructure and economy with no compensation or reparations to date. Let us lift our voices together. Join me in singing hymn 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are.
Hymn number 188 is a round. Oh, don't groan so loudly. Now, ordinarily, we would divide you up by the quadrant of the sanctuary you're sitting in. However, that tends to be a little skewed as people don't like sitting towards the front. So we're going to do this a little bit differently. If your birthday is in January, February, or March, you'll be 1. April, May, June is 2. July, August, September is 3. October, November, December is 4. In theory, this should statistically work out. We're going to sing it through together, once through all together, and then break into parts and do it twice in our parts. I believe in you guys. job, guys.
Y'all did it. See, wasn't so bad. That was beautiful. We can do hard things. Since Eva is with our youth out in Ann Arbor, we are going to spend the time for all ages, attaching ourselves to the children in our hearts and learning a new thing. Yeah, we have a video that is going to teach us a little bit more about the Haudenosaunee. Oh, I screwed that up. Haudenosaunee. The French called them the Iroquois. We're going to hear about matriarchal lineages and early democracy and maybe something that you've never heard before. So go ahead and cue up that video whenever you're good.
We are the Haudenosaunee. We're the people of the Longhouse. A lot of people refer to us as the Iroquois or the Six Nations. The Iroquois actually is a French word to describe us. And Six Nations obviously is English. But the Haudenosaunee, that means that we're the people of the Longhouse. The Haudenosaunee have the oldest continuous democracy anywhere in the world. In addition to that, we are matrilineal. It's always been this way.
Women play an important role in Haudenosaunee culture because the structure of the communities and society is built on clans, and every individual who is Haudenosaunee inherits their clan through their mother. The village in its entirety, including the fields of corn and other vegetables, the entirety of the village, the footprint of that place, ends up being the responsibility of women. They're the ones organizing it. They're the ones providing the leadership structures. There's male counterparts and there's male leadership too, but within the town, the woman's voice is primary.
It's really important to note that the founding fathers actually came and studied among the Haudenosaunee. When you look at the US government, you can really see the Haudenosaunee governance structure underneath all of that. So you have your three different sides of your government. In addition to that, you have your state levels and you have your federal levels. And when you look at the way the Haudenosaunee are structured, you can see that. You see the three different sides in terms of how we make decisions. You can also see the state levels. You know, the clan mothers are the ones who are there for the people. They're there for the communities. They listen to the voice of the people. They take that then, what, you know, the people want, and they take that then to the chiefs. And the chiefs then all meet among all of our Six Nations together, and they are the representatives of the people. And they meet together to discuss and decide decisions for our confederacy. The US government is rooted in Haudenosaunee culture, Haudenosaunee governance, Haudenosaunee ways of life. But what the founding fathers left out was the role of women. When you think about the Haudenosaunee form of governance, the reason that it works is because women are at the core of it. You have clan mothers who are really the decision makers for the people. They are the ones who inform the chiefs. This is what you're going to say. This is the interest you're going to represent when you go to represent us in council. He can't deviate from that. Because when a chief deviates from that and begins to act in his own self-interest, the clan mother has the right to remove him from that position as a chief.
Haudenosaunee women, their period of suffrage took place 1,000 years ago, right? And so they've enjoyed, in a way, this sort of balance and equity ever since. It really was the Europeans who came here who started to effect and infect Native communities with a patriarchal mindset. So Haudenosaunee women of that time period understood and knew and functioned within that traditional paradigm still. And so they were never lacking for equity. I mean, that idea alone had to have been inspirational to the American women's suffrage movement.
Do we want to sing just in spirit of the kiddos, or? Yeah, let's do that. We're not walking the kiddos out, or do you want to, Jim? Do you want to carry the flame? We got one? Yeah, let's do it. Oh, we got a couple. Yay, all right. Great. You want to carry the chalice? Awesome. All right. Thank you, Jim.
May your mind be open to new learning. May your lips bring truth into the world. May your heart know love and your hands do the work of justice as you go your way in peace. As you go your way in peace.
This month, Northwest Community Partner is the Michigan Education Justice Coalition. The Michigan Education Justice Coalition is a statewide network committed to advocating for equitable public education policies and funding to create safe and healthy learning environments. All undesignated donations will be split between the Michigan Education Justice Coalition and our congregation. You can give in a variety of ways that will soon be visible on the screen. For those here in person, we will pass the collection baskets for checks and cash, and there also is the QR code on your order of service. We honor this your generosity, ensuring that our collective resources do a greater good for ourselves and our world than any of us could have done individually.
Don't you laugh. My sorrow is being short. Hi, my name is Linda Morris. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm a member of the pastoral care team. I want to remind anyone that's needing support from our community can reach out to pastoralcare@northwest.org, as well as to Reverend Julie or Pastor Eli. The collective cares of our community are recorded in our books of joys and sorrows, which will remain on the red cabinet out there by the greeters table. If you would like to submit a joy or a sorrow virtually, please email pastoralcare@northwest.org. When I announce your name, if you're here, please raise your hand. Okay. This first one's a joy from Trina. I want to express my immense gratitude and joy for the commitment this congregation, especially the teachers, have in supporting healthy relationships with our youth. This is the last week of the OWL program for this year, or as we say in our house, sex class. I'm sure they do. Our kids are better humans because of this program. If you haven't asked any 7th through 9th graders how things are going in class, please do. That's a great joy. Okay. This is a joy from Jerry and Jan, kind of out of a sorrow. Our son, Seth, was among the federal employees whose job was reinstated by a court order. So some good news, huh? This is from Susan Hansen. It's a sorrow. My daughter, Andrea, has stage 4, I can't say this word. How do you say that word?
Metastatic.
I practiced it too. Carcinoma, site unknown. So far, doctors are finding it a mystery. She's undergoing a second bone marrow biopsy this week. So let's all keep her, Andrea and Susan, in our thoughts, please. This is from Ralph. My brother died peacefully yesterday afternoon. I'm sorry, Ralph. He was 82. Positive thoughts for the family are welcome. I'm sorry. This is from Liz. Amy Batchelder broke her wrist and went out to dinner with us and then ended up at the hospital the next day. She was taking out the garbage. And Liz's son, Noel, fell while snowboarding in Utah and sustained a concussion. And I lost a very, very dear friend who was also connected to Katie Cassidy. It was her aunt, and Justin, and a beloved friend of Elmer's, Doris Paley. There's more. Okay. For these and the joys and sorrows that are held in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, I offer this prayer. Sources of radiance and resilience, keep watch with those who work or watch or weep this night. May the suffering be soothed, may the sick be tended, may the weary find rest, may the dying and those who love them find peace. May the joyous be shielded, and may all know that we are surrounded in a love that is always with us, a web that connects us to all that exists. May we take a few moments of silence to be with each other in the sacred place. We will come out singing.
Our reading today is Equality in a Sea of Inequality by Peggy Clark. When this country was founded, the aspiration was high. The men who imagined it dreamed big, casting a vision of a world where all men are created equal, where rights were endowed by our Creator, transcending culture and the expectations of the day, where life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness would be allowed and enjoyed without infringement. It was a radical and new vision, born from the Enlightenment optimism inspired by scientific discovery. It was an intoxicating vision, as bold as the Protestant Reformation that swept all of Europe. And they had the hubris to believe they could make it happen. They staked their claim in the Declaration of Independence and institutionalized it in the Constitution. They elected their first president, and when he stepped down, relinquishing power to return to the role of citizen, those founders believed they'd live to see their vision realized. A new president ran for office, and the republic was up and running. It was done. A new world order. Those men weren't distracted by the genocide they inspired, or the enslavement of other people they required for this nation to be born. They declared equality while swimming in a sea of inequality. When they declared all men are created equal, they meant white, Protestant men. They didn't mean women. They weren't including Black people who'd been enslaved or those who were free. They didn't include Catholics, Jews, or people who didn't own land. They were so proud of their inclusivity, so inspired by their own cutting-edge philosophy, that they had no idea how narrow it was, how constrictive, how small a vision. The men who wrote these words were calling into being a more perfect union. They were establishing justice, ensuring domestic tranquility, securing the blessings of liberty. They believed that they and the men of their generation would will this new nation into being. They would establish the structures required for such a grand vision. They would test it, and then it would be done. They didn't realize it would require many more people, many different voices. They didn't know how many generations would have to be part of the creation of that dream, how long it would take before the nation they imagined would be made manifest. The soul of America has yet to be born. Please join me and lift your voice in whatever way is comfortable. Join me in singing hymn 155, Circle Round for Freedom. Despite the name, this one isn't around.
But we will do it multiple times. We're going to do the melody line, the middle line first, then add the line below it, then add the line above it. Sing whichever part you feel comfortable on. Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us in prison, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom. Circle round for peace. For all of us in prison. Circle for release. Circle for the planet. Circle for each soul. For the children of our children. Keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom. Circle
Good morning. I'm Nancy Shattuck. I'll be your speaker today. Excuse me. In the 2017 Women's March, everyone in this room today witnessed on TV the 6 million women in more than 600 marches worldwide to resist body shaming and a patriarchal rape culture. Women in the United States inspired it and have, from the beginning of our republic, had a strong feminist presence. Women's studies know this, our time, as the fourth wave of feminism. If we move back to the 1980s and 90s, to the third wave, the daughters of baby boomers reaping their benefits still sought to redefine gender stereotypes and embrace diversity. Their mothers, the 1960s and 70s baby boomers, focused on a wider range of issues: sexuality, family, domesticity, the workplace, reproductive rights, domestic violence. Though women of the second wave were not able to ratify the Women's Rights Amendment, they worked hard for constitutional equity. Our foremothers, going all the way back, of the 1848 Seneca Falls Convention, started us down this long road to women's rights. And we honor Susan B. Anthony, Matilda Gage, Lucretia Mott, and Elizabeth Stanton for their sacrifice on our behalf. The suffrage movement of the first wave won us the vote in 1920. That was 35 years after the first convention. I've recently become aware that we need to revise this history to include ancestors we have forgotten or overlooked or denied, and pay them homage with our gratitude. The video we just viewed poses the idea that the Haudenosaunee, which comprise 6 tribes, the Seneca, Onondaga, Mohawk, Oneida, Cayuga, and Tuscarora tribes, that these tribes inspired the early women's rights movement. The most recent scholarship backs up this view. First, the women's rights movement of 1848 was born in the neighborhood of the Haudenosaunee Longhouses in Seneca Falls, New York. Matilda Jocelyn Gage lived in, Elizabeth Cady Stanton grew up in, and Lucretia Coffin Mott visited the villages and towns that developed in the Six Nations territory. Second, current literature points out that the triumvirate of the women's suffrage movement, Susan B. Anthony, Matilda Jocelyn Gage, and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, were in frequent contact with the Seneca tribe women, most especially Gage and Stanton, who wrote for 20 years about women's rights and the Haudenosaunee in books and newspapers. In Gage's published works, she shows interest in the position of women in these 6 Indian nations in what she termed their matriarchate, or system of mother rule. Gage was even adopted into the Wolf clan of the Mohawk Nation and received the name of Karonanawi, or sky carrier, or she who holds the sky. Furthermore, she was working on a book about the Haudenosaunee when she died in 1898. Elizabeth Cady Stanton's cousin was named for an Oneida chief, and her closest Seneca Falls neighbor was an adopted Onondagan. Her cousin's daughter was to become the inventor of comfortable clothing, modeled on clothing the Seneca women wore. She designed the suffragettes' famous bloomers outfit. Women's studies professor and author Sally Roach Wagner, in her book, Sisters in Spirit, confesses that until recently, the sources of women's rights have not been recognized. Indeed, she states, a stunningly deep-seated presumption of white supremacy had kept women's studies from recognizing what these early prototypical feminists kept insisting in their writings. Gage and Stanton believed women's liberation was possible because they knew liberated women, women who possessed rights beyond their wildest imagination, the Haudenosaunee women. White supremacy blinded women, even our scholars, for a century to the fact that women in our First Nations lived in political and social systems that gave them equal rights. Other stereotypes have led us to underestimate our First Nation sisters. I don't know if anyone here has had my experience, but I was told from a young age that Indian women were treated as poor beasts of burden in their tribes. Nothing could be further from the truth. It was Euro-American women who lacked rights and were abused by their religion and the laws of their country. Consider this comparison. The Haudenosaunee children were members of their mother's clan. In divorce, children stayed with their mothers. In death, with their mother's clan. Whereas Euro-American children were the sole property of their fathers. Property. Euro-American women are subordinate to men, and it has a religious foundation. It says it in the Bible. Not so for the Haudenosaunee, whose responsibilities have a spiritual basis. Among the Haudenosaunee, violence against women is dealt with seriously when it occurs. But Euro-American husbands have legal right and religious responsibility to physically discipline their wives. Battering and rape are acceptable within marriage. Economically, the Haudenosaunee controlled their own personal property. They have responsibility for the home and the agriculture. By contrast, the Euro-American woman had no rights to her own property, her body, or her children. Everything she owns becomes her husband's upon marriage, even her name. Reproductive control is forbidden. Work for Euro-Americans is limited to the home, and she's isolated. She works under the authority of her husband, who owns the workplace, and she's not paid for her labor. The Haudenosaunee, who own and are responsible for the agriculture and longhouses, work under the direction of women working together. The spiritual life is also very different. The Haudenosaunee have Sky Woman, a spiritual being who's a catalyst for the world we see. But the Euro-American has no female in the Godhead. Mother Earth and women are spiritually related for the tribal women, not so for the Euro-Americans. Politically, the tribal women choose their chief. As clan mothers, they do not elect criminals, men who have murdered, raped, or stolen. Because I wonder how many of our congressmen would pass that test. Women can unseat a chief. Women serve key political offices as clan mothers, representatives of their people. Confederacy law ensures women's political authority, and decisions are made by consensus. Everyone has a voice. Contrast: the Euro-American women cannot vote. They are excluded from political office. Common law defines married women as, quote, dead in the law, unquote. And men make all decisions by majority rule. Our suffragist ancestors had a dream of women's rights that was inspired by the Haudenosaunee women, those who lived that reality already. Now that scholars are including this knowledge in their women's studies, we must revise our collective histories to not only acknowledge our Native sisters, but to thank them. And last, women need to keep on fighting for these rights. If we examine this list I've just read through, we still don't have the rights that the Haudenosaunee have had for a millennia. We are not even close to achieving the cultural acceptance of what rights we have won, and what we have won is not secure. We are not recognized as equals of men in our Constitution. We have lost the rights to our own bodies in this current political landscape. Marriage common laws still do not recognize individual ownership of properties without legal intervention of clauses. We don't have equal pay for equal work. The laws governing domestic abuse of women have only recently been improved, and we, like women worldwide, are still victims of rape cultures. Many religions still make equality impossible for women. Perhaps, now armed with the knowledge that the Six Nations women have sustained powers balanced with those of men's for millennia, those of us who fight for social justice may continue our trajectory with certainty on our side. For this, we owe gratitude to the Haudenosaunee and their wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nancy. Let us close together in song. I'm invited to sing in the Teal Hymnal 1026, If Every Woman in the World. We will now extinguish our chalice. Please repeat after me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of hope.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of hope.
The warmth of community,
The warmth of community,
or the fire of commitment.
or the fire of commitment.
These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
We'll close with these words of D. Scott Cooper. The world aches for us to join together and bring about healing, toil for justice, and produce ever-increasing love. This is our calling. Go forth and act accordingly. Amen.